Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to have a very different kind of video. Today we are going to do a restaurant review. So you might be wondering why a restaurant review in a channel related to bike and car? Yes, this is a different kind of a restaurant. This is apparently Bangalore's biggest drive-in restaurant. Yes, we are going to talk about Acre Bangalore, which is apparently the Bangalore's biggest drive-in restaurant. So the drive-in restaurant concept is not very new to Bangalore, and not that I am very new to the drive-in restaurant concept, but this is the first time I kind of like tried a new place in the very beginning, and I'm going to talk about my experience and my thoughts on how the whole experience was and how the food tasted and everything like that. So let's get started. First of all, where exactly is this restaurant? This restaurant is pretty close to the airport toll. I would probably say about 500 meters before the airport toll. So a couple of landmarks that I can think of is this is right next to the McDonald's, which you find on the left hand side when you're going towards the airport or when you're going towards the Hyderabad road, or probably when you can call it as like it's right at the junction or the signal just before the toll. Now the second main thing, which is the safety aspect, that is one of the critical thing when it comes to restaurant, especially the dine-in restaurant. So this is not currently a dine-in restaurant, though they have an option of dine-in, but this is not a dine-in restaurant currently. This is only drive-in or takeaway. But when it comes to safety, the security guy at the gate, he'll first make sure that he checks the temperature of each and every passenger in your car, including yourself, and also he offers you sanitizer right at the very beginning itself. So there's one more point that I saw in one of their promo video wherein one guy comes and sprays something like a disinfectant on the car, but nothing of that sort happened when I visited the property. It was just a temperature check and the sanitizer facility that is available right before you enter the actual drive-in place. Now, what about my first impression? I would say not really that great. It kind of looked like a very cramped parking space converted into a drive-in restaurant. So let me be honest, drive-in restaurants is not new here in Bangalore. We already have a legendary airlines hotel very close to Laval Road, which had this concept of drive-in restaurant quite from like a very long time. This kind of looks very similar to this. But according to the website or this whole place, this is actually a restaurant, kind of like a party venue, and also a drive-in restaurant. So there are three aspects, but considering this COVID situation, I don't think so they're opening up the party area or even the fine dining restaurant, but this is only the main drive-in restaurant aspect which is now open. So I kind of felt like the parking lot has been converted into a drive-in restaurant. Maybe this is a permanent thing or this might not be the case, but that's what is my first impression. But one thing is for sure, the property is completely lush green and it looks really fresh, and I would really prefer to go here once again and check how it feels like when you go there during monsoon, peak monsoon, and it is raining. I don't know if they'll really serve the food and drinks when it is raining, but it will be a very good experience to go to this place when it is raining and enjoy this drive-in restaurant concept. Now let's talk about menu. As I told you, they probably have like about three different aspects. One is a fine dining restaurant, second thing is a takeaway, and third one is a drive-in restaurant. So the fine dining apparently is closed. I don't think so they're functioning that part of it. So keeping that aside, the menu is different from the takeaway and the drive-in restaurant. So apparently when I saw it on their website or probably on their Instagram, the takeaway has North Indian, South Indian, Chinese and Italian option. But apparently when it comes to the drive-in restaurant, it's more of like that finger food kind of a thing, wherein it's basically snacks, starters, rolls, pizza, I think a couple of options in the rice, and a few desserts and beverages like hot and cold beverages. So that's what is the option which is there for the drive-in thing, which is both veg and non-veg. So please keep in mind this is a both veg and a non-veg restaurant. This is not like a pure veg restaurant. So it's a veg and non-veg restaurant, but a very limited option when it comes to drive-in. But the number of options gets increased when you opt for takeaway. What about the wait time? So there are two different wait times that I want to talk about. One is the point when you enter the property and you park your car and you're waiting for the server to come to you and actually address you, like, or take your order. That is one wait. And second thing is the serving wait time. So the first part is, I felt like they took about 15 to 20 minutes for a person to come and actually take your order. Apparently, I think I waited for almost 15 minutes. Then I called someone. I asked him for a menu card. Then he vanished for about next 5 minutes, and another guy came in. He came with a menu card. I saw the menu card, and I probably in the next 5 to 10 minutes I placed the order. So overall, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for them to respond to you after you reach there. I'm not really sure if it is because of the number of people who are there or if they have a lesser staff. Staff didn't look to be an issue because there were quite a few guys who were serving the things. But overall, be prepared for about 15 to 20 minutes. If you are in a hurry to place an order and pick up and go, this is definitely not the place for you. Now, when it comes to serving your order, that became a little bit more tricky because it took us about 30 minutes or 35 minutes for our orders to reach. What I had ordered, in fact, like what I had thought of was much different from what I had ordered. So initially when I went there, I had kept the takeaway aspect in my mind and I had thought of certain things that I will order, though I thought that that option would be there when you reach the venue for the drive-in. But apparently we had to order some simple snacks, like we had ordered some finger chips and wood-fired pizza and a paneer 65. These are the three things which I ordered. They took about 30 to 35 minutes to serve it, which I felt was quite a lot of wait because we had already lost about 25 minutes after we have reached to the venue, even given order. But after placing the order, it took us about another 30-35 minutes. The menu card does say that you have to wait for about 15-20 minutes, but this was the overall experience fine. But if it is taking 1 hour for you to even get the food that you ordered after you reach the venue, then that's actually a little bit of more wait time. So that's about the wait time aspect, and let's move over to how the food tasted like. Now the key thing, I think everyone would be keen on knowing how is the food. Food, I would call it as average. I would call it too good, or I would call it too bad as well. As I told you, the number of items that I had ordered was less. And when it comes to the drink, we had opted for cold coffee, and overall I would say I would rate it average, not as something great. It's not on par with any of the fine dining restaurant. Probably when you go for the fine dining option within this property, that might be slightly better, but here I felt that taste was slightly mediocre. And second thing was the quantity was a little bit off. So when it came to the paneer 65 that we had ordered, the quantity was way less than whatever you would have probably got it in any of the fine dining restaurants or even in a very typical Darshini style restaurant. So the quantity was like way too less. That's what we personally felt as soon as he gave it. And when it comes to the pizza, it was way too soggy. Let me be very honest with you. We got carried away by the fact that the pizza was a wood-fried pizza instead of the typical oven pizza. So I previously had very good experience with having wood-fried pizza in Bangalore. There are so many other places in Bangalore which offer wood-fried pizza, but apparently here maybe it was prepared and it took a little bit longer time to give it to us or whatever it is. It felt a little bit too soggy, and I'm not too sure if I would call it like too great a taste. I think it was veggie fresh or veggie farmer fresh is what I had ordered, and it was probably, I would say, like, call it as average. Now that we are talking about serve time, wait time and all those things and the taste and menu, one another thing that you might also be worried about is the facilities there. Like, does it have a good washroom and restroom facility? Yes, apparently they do have a restroom facility. It's kind of like a one-person restroom facility, a separate one for both ladies and men. And I would say it kind of looked like a makeshift restroom with a hand wash area just outside it. It was very clean. It was it was very well maintained. And there was sanitizer kept right outside the restroom as well. So in that aspect, I would say the restroom and washroom facilities are very good, even though this was a drive-in restaurant. Now that I've spoken to you about what this place is all about, where it is and all the stuff, let me come to the main key thing. What are the main things that I liked in this place and what are the main things which I didn't like in this place? My likes and my dislikes about this particular place. First of all, let me start with likes. The thing that I liked about this place is, yeah, this is kind of like a different restaurant, drive-in restaurant, definitely for sure, but something very different from what we generally go on a weekends with the family. So especially when you're wanting to go out with the family, especially with kids and parents, this definitely looks like a good option. I'm not really sure if the aged parents will find it comfortable to go in for an option called a drive-in restaurant, but definitely something very good to try out once in a while with the family. Second thing is, if it's not for your family, definitely a good place to hang around with friends. You want to meet your friends and you're worried about all the social distancing and all the restrictions that are there in the restaurants. Probably this is one option. You can drive down here, you can sit, open up your boat, sit there, order some munchies and probably a coffee and sit there and talk for hours together. So this, in that way, I like this whole aspect. Which is compared to probably something like a fine dining restaurant which is available in the city. The third thing which I liked, which is totally personal and which is totally related to what this channel is all about, you get to see a lot of premium and fancy cars when you go there. I mean, that's what I felt when I went there yesterday. So there were quite a lot of Porsches, there were quite a lot of Audis, there were quite a lot of Mercedes. I did get to see a Porsche Boxster also at the venue. So in a way, I feel that this kind of a crowd is what usually prefers this type of place to come and hang around or probably have a quick munchie and then go away. So in that way, I felt that there were quite a lot of good, interesting, fancy cars that were there. Not many bikes. In fact, like I didn't see any one come here in a bike and probably order something and eat here. I did see some bikes, but I don't know if it was something owned by the hotel staff itself. But predominantly it was cars which had come there for having the dine-in restaurant experience. Now let's move over to the key thing, which is dislike. So this will kind of like literally overtake or override everything that I've spoken till now. There were 2-3 things which I observed and experienced which made me feel a little bit uncomfortable, especially for the fact that I was with my family and I had a small kid with me, and I did notice a little bit of awkwardness in the situation when I saw a few other families also. First and foremost thing, this whole place, like the people who come there, I think so it is allowed to smoke. This is what I felt a little bit awkward because this is a public place, this is a restaurant, and some of the people who had come there, they were smoking. A few people found it uncomfortable, but there should be some kind of a norm wherein at least like people should be asked to go to one common place and smoke and then come back. But most of the people who are having food, some of them were like smoking at like sitting outside the car. So in that way, I didn't like that whole experience. Second thing is, it was not just limited to smoking, it was also drinking. Quite a lot of people, especially the ones who had come in this luxury cars, they had carried their own liquor and they were consuming liquor here. Again, I'm not really sure if this place allows something like that. Nobody was complaining, especially the hotel staff. They were not complaining about it because I think their fine dining restaurant allows you bar facility and all. But here it was pretty evident they were not serving it. Let me make it clear. The restaurant was not serving it, but the people who had come had got their own liquor and they were drinking, which again, when you're going with a family, you might feel a little bit awkward and you might feel a little bit uncomfortable, especially when you have people around you drinking. And if you have kids and you see other vehicles, like where there are girls who are sitting outside and drinking, it might kind of send a wrong signal. So in that way, I felt that I don't know if this place actually allows drinking and all those things, but that I felt was a little bit of no from my side. Third thing is an experience. This is the main thing which I felt. We went there and we realized that we had to wait for about 15-20 minutes, as I already told you. So when we called the guy to get us the menu card, he came there, he was holding the menu card, he told us to take a photograph of the menu card, both the sides, and he told you can decide whatever you want. There were probably about 7 or 10 cars which were already there, and most of them had already placed order, I guess. And I saw him do a similar thing with one more car even before he came to me. This is all fine. I just felt that this is their way of maintaining social distance or making sure that not everyone touches that menu card and things like that. But what I observed is every time luxury car came in, especially this group which had come in 3 Porsche cars, when they came in, they were offered the card. They were not asked to take a photograph of that menu card, but they were offered the menu card itself, which I felt a little bit of odd. So I'm not sure if it is this particular group which comes here regularly and they expect it like this. But after some time, there was one more audio or something which came in. Even for them, they gave the card rather than asking them to take a photograph. This I kind of felt like it was a differential treatment. So for some people, they were asking them to take a photograph, and for some people, they were giving the card. I'm not sure of the reasoning behind all these things, but I felt this was odd and something not right in the way the hotel staff were handling this thing. So if it is a problem, if you're not supposed to give the card to anyone, you're not supposed to give it to anyone. Why this differential treatment is what is my question. So these are 3 main negatives, especially the smoking, the drinking, and this differential treatment, which I wanted to highlight about this particular place. So overall, this was it. I think I kind of covered every single aspect of my experience of going to this Bangalore's biggest drive-in restaurant and how I felt and how the food tasted, everything. So to summarize, if you really want to ask me how would I rate this particular place, I would probably rate it between 2.5 and 3. That's the maximum I would rate it as of now. Probably the experience will change the next time I visit. I don't know. But this is not something which I would probably visit very frequently. But definitely once in a while, it's definitely worth a visit. And it's a different kind of an experience. So that's what I want to say about this drive-in restaurant experience that I went through just recently. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.